9 main precious tips for old age. Listen to it and read it. Ladies and gentlemen, old age is not a stop. It's a new stage in life where we can slow down, find true peace and happiness. But how do we make old age truly comfortable without worrying about it? Today, we would like to give you 9 valuable tips based on the experience of those who have gone before to help us live our years of meaningful old age without regret. These tips, it has caused many people to get lost in thought. Some people shed tears, looking back on the mistakes of the past. Some people regret not knowing it sooner. Please listen to me. And if you find it helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so that these values are widely shared by the land. The first advice, never let your children know how much money they have. The ancients have a saying, money is an external thing, but the human heart is unpredictable. When money comes in fact it has always been. Money can buy many things, but it can also divide the flesh. Tigers can't even eat meat. But for the money, you can turn your back on the enemy. A finite 100 years of human life, how many wise people fail? Just because of the property. It was in the Song dynasty. There was a rich family that had 3 sons. Before I take my last breath, the father divided his wealth equally among his 3 sons. I can believe just a few years later, 3 brothers have raised a dispute to the point of suing. Even scuffled right in front of the gate from the ancestral road. The old mother was in tears. They complain that the house is wide, wealth and money piled up. But people's hearts become petty and selfish. For the sake of money, forget the flesh and blood of brothers. The ancients also taught, God's grace is not equal to God's grace. No matter how much money there is always a day. But virtue and morality is a precious treasure. Pass it on to the next generation. That's why people are born healthy. Keep a certain amount of property for yourself to be able to control life. Don't leave everything to your children. But I lost my peace. Peace in old age. I've seen a scene in my life. A family that seems as extremely happy. They end up broke just for the money. A good friend of mine is Mr. Hoa. A lifetime of algae. He took every penny to take care of his 3 sons. He always had the idea that parents work hard all their lives. Children only need to enjoy it so that they can enjoy it. With that thought, when the age is high, he decided to divide the property between his 3 sons, each one an equal part. He himself kept only a small amount of money, enough to cover daily living. At first, everything seemed to be warm. 3 children always welcome him to Fung Fung. But then the pension's running out. When you have nothing to give. His children's attitudes also began to change. The island's oldest son often visited. As you get older, you get busy. The second son became visibly cold. Once he even spoke directly. Father came to my house. I'm also having a lot of trouble right now. I can't take care of you. The old man was very close to you. I only call Han sometimes. Some rules. One day he reconciled. Sick people want to take you to the doctor. The elder son said that he was busy. The second son said his wife did not want her father-in-law in Chung, and the youngest is preparing for a long trip. He burst into tears. He was shocked to realize that he sacrificed his whole life for you. But in old age, the weak need you the most. You have nowhere to turn. Finally, he had to sell the small house he had kept to live in a nursing home. The day he left, no children were present. Just a few old friends sitting next to me. Drink a cup of bitter tea with him. He sighed and said, "It is natural for a parent to love their children. But love also needs reason. Don't give it all to your children. And then at the end of my life, there's nothing left. Even a place to call home is gone. Your words make me sad. Inconsolable concern. I suddenly understood a truth when old age knocked on the door. Important thing, it's not how much money is in your pocket. It's how much freedom and peace you have. In the soul. Never put all your hope in your children. Dante let them know their property. When we have money, we have the right to decide our lives. There is no money, even a cup of tea. You have to raise your hand and ask for permission to drink. So ladies and gentlemen, be wise to keep some of your possessions. Body room capital. Don't give them all out of your pocket because you love them. And at the end of the day, I have to live alone. Lack of sufficient surface. Money can't buy affection. But when there's a lack of money, relationships can break down. Second piece of advice. Don't let the words of ordinary exchange break you apart. The sacred meaning of husband and wife. Old people used to teach. I want to know if a man is good or not. Look at the way he treats you. With my partner, I want to know if a woman is wise or not. Let's look at how she built a home. It is said that in the Ming Dynasty, there was a rich merchant. But he's got a temper, frequently arguing with his wife. In anger, lost wisdom. He threw her out of the house for a small matter. The gentle wife didn't say a word, just quietly arranged to leave. A few years later, because the merchant was seriously ill, you have no one to take care of you. At that time, he realized something. Wealth can be lost and found again. But the wife took off her shirt. There's no going back. He sighed endlessly. It's too late to regret. A lifetime of love. You can't be measured by right reasons. That's why the old sage used to advise. You only have one grace in your life. A lifetime with a single partner. No reason to worry more about winning than losing. To have a happy day is to have another happy day. Arguing for a day is losing a day of joy. Looking back on the way life has gone, I noticed I have also experienced so many waves. But there's one thing I've never regretted. It's about always trying to keep it. The meaning of husband and wife. I have a good friend named Mind. Lives right next door to my house. He is a good man who works hard. To love my children with all my heart, but there's a bad habit of being grumpy. Loud with your wife. Your wife is a very gentle woman. My whole life sacrificed for my husband. But you mind? I never feel satisfied. He is often grumpy. It's just because of the little things. When you blame her for not cooking. When you look upset because she talked to her neighbors for too long. When you are angry because of an unintentional statement from your wife. Your face was light all day. At such times, she just quietly suffers. They don't speak twice. Time goes on and on. You grow up and leave the house one by one. Only two old men are left to lean on each other. At that time, his mind began. I can feel the silence over the house. You have no one to vent to. There's no more food waiting for you. She died a long time ago after an illness. The day she closed her eyes, he was shocked. All your life you've been fighting, more than losing to your partner, until you're no longer around. What does that victory mean? From seeing his mind become quiet, he said little. I once asked him if he remembered her. He only laughed with his distant eyes. He replied, I don't remember, but I regret it. If only I had one less harsh word. If only I had been a little more patient. If only I could appreciate the days. She's still there. He recounted, there are lonely nights alone in a simple bed. You know how lonely you are, you say. In the past, he used to be bothered because of her habit of folding her bed in her own way. Now he wishes that someone would bother him, even with small habits. But it's too late. She's gone forever. Listen to what you say. Suddenly my heart is heavy with compassion. Really, couple, sometimes people only truly realize one's true worth when they were no longer around. But at that time, even if there is a lot of regret, it's just hopeless. So ladies and gentlemen, when your hair is gray, please give each other more tolerance and understanding. Not for trivialities, but for the love of husband and wife I've worked hard all my life to break. When the female has enough wings, when spinning, life no longer moves us like it used to. The only one left by my side, my friend, is my partner. Please don't wait until it's gone, and then hold on to the inconsolable regret, winning an argument. It never mattered. By keeping a whole mate, come with me to the end of the road. Don't love me too much. Forgetting to take care of yourself. Ancient people have a saying, 100 years is not the same as teaching a day. The nurturing to teach our children, it's the responsibility of their parents. You should just be a solid spiritual rock. I'm not the one who directly handles everything. Mutual transmission. There was a story about an old man. Because I love you so much. Take care of the poet. Day after day of hugging. Are you for sleeping? But then when old age is weak, they need care, they say. My parents have taken care of me all my life. Now it's our turn to shoulder this responsibility. But until then, there is no child. I really want to take that responsibility. The old man sighed. I gave up my heart for you, so that when old age is weak, there's nothing left of itself. The ancients also taught, it's natural for me to worry about you. But if love is too much, children will never truly grow up. To make you love your granddaughter, of course. But if you sacrifice too much, it's easy to take that as an obvious thing to have. Always remember, old age is not the time to continue to engage in the cycle of anxiety. It's time to enjoy our achievements. I've worked hard all my life. I have a friend named Mrs. She's devoted her whole life to take care of the family when the children are grown. She thought she would enjoy her old age. But I doubt. She's just caught up in another vicious cycle. I have a name in me. Her son got married quite late. When you have kids, you are busy doing business. Take your mother back to live together, to rely on taking care of the little ones. At first, she felt very happy. I think this is the happiness of old age. But then with the flow of time, the laughter on her lips faded early in the morning. She had to get up for breakfast and clean the house. And just spinning around in the swirl of the diapers and coaxing me to sleep. Late at night, when the son and daughter-in-law return from work, she has not been resting because she is busy with food and water, washing clothes for the whole family. It's been like that for 5 years. You seem to have forgotten the feeling. What a really relaxing morning. How peaceful is a full day. Just for yourself. Then one day she got very ill, lying in bed, unable to get up. When her son came to visit, she hesitated. I'm tired. I'm afraid I can't take care of you anymore. Listen to me. The daughter-in-law immediately frowned in disgust. I was at home all day and tired. It's like a sharp knife. Go deep into your heart. All her life she sacrificed. Until the strength are exhausted, the sacrifice is taken for granted. It was her duty that day to quietly pack her bags. Decided to go back to the old town. Before I left, I said just one thing. I've lived my whole life for you. It's time for me to live for myself. From the day back home, she started a completely different life. Thong Dong goes to the market in the morning, buy her favorite delicacies. I went for a walk with some old friends. In the evening, she sat down to read. Enjoy a cup of hot tea. No longer busy with milk diapers. No more drudgery. She suddenly realized, I should have done this a long time ago. Ladies and gentlemen, love your children. It's the natural feeling of being a grandparent. But love also needs proper discernment. Please don't leave until your hair is white. And then realized bitterly that I've lived my whole life for others. But forget about yourself. Old age is our own precious possession. Please don't let anyone decide for us how to live. For if you live alone, don't be in a hurry to get married. Old age is like a small boat. In the sea of life, if steady, the oar will float. But if you choose the wrong one, life can be painful. It's worse than living alone. The wise man once taught, marriage is grace, but not every word. They should all continue to hold. When age is late, love couple. It is no longer the only factor that determines happiness. What's more important is understanding empathy. It's finding peace in your soul. And stay out of trouble. Secular transmission. There was a story about an old man. His name saved. When she was 7 weeks old, I feel alone. He decided to remarry the same woman in the same situation. In the beginning, they both found joy, but only after about a year. Small conflicts start to arise. Your new partner is not used to your life. You two don't have the same point of view. That's what makes these conflicts happen all the time. Finally, he sighed, full of regret. A peaceful life, just for a little warmth. But it's bringing itself so much more sorrow. The ancients also said, old age is not the time to find new connections. It's time to be free. If you live alone and still find joy, find peace, no reason to find another partner. Just to be friends, to be lonely. I have a best friend, a prince who had lived alone for many years. You're a gentleman. His wife died early, and you all settle far away. The first few years living alone, you also feel lonely. But gradually he got used to the quiet peace. Then one day, someone introduced you to a widow, just as lonely as you are. Everyone advises you to be alone. Come back to live together. Old age is the most reasonable. The advice seems reasonable. The prince decided to move on to a remarriage. But the short fun is not too hard. Married life in the late afternoon. Far from being young. She has her own lifestyle, her own routine. The prince was also used to the routine of myself over the years. It's about everyday things like how to eat or cleaning the house. It's easy to become the subject of arguments. Not worth it. He's used to frugal tastes, and she likes spicy food. He had a habit of going to bed early, and she used to stay up late. At first, they both tried to give in. Harmony of life. But every day something goes wrong. They both feel tired. After about a year of living together, the prince sighed in disgust, feeling that the days of living alone before, maybe it's fun, much more serene. I have to worry about others every day. There is no peace. Then one day he decided to move out on his own. Go back to your old house. When you come back, I noticed that he laughed much more happily. There was no longer the heavy frown as before. I asked him that. Do you regret the decision? Remarried, not. He just mused. It's not necessary to live alone. You need someone by your side. There are people on the side who don't get along. It makes life exhausting. It's heavier than being alone. Ladies and gentlemen, old age is the time to live in peace. Not to tie yourself up. I add to these complicated relationships. If you are lucky enough to meet someone who is really interested in you, that's the blessing for the most part. But if not, please cherish the days of being alone. But serene. Living alone is fun. It's better to have a partner nearby and have more trouble. In the meantime, Keep your independence. Don't let yourself depend on your children. Ancient people have a saying, children are grace, not debt. Relying on each other just enough is a beautiful feeling. Over-relying is the source of the discord. Legend of the Ming Dynasty. There's a story about a man named Chen Gong. Your whole life has been devoted to me. Give them all your property, with the belief that in old age, we'll be carefully nurtured by the children. But when you're really old and sick, there was no one willing to take care of her. Mr. Chen had to rely from one son's house to another. But where it's been a while, the daughter-in-law gets upset. The son-in-law complained. In the end, he could only sigh bitterly. Parents are born to be children, not to grow old and cling to them. The ancients also taught that raising children is a responsibility. Take care of yourself when you are old. That is wisdom. In fact, as we enter our twilight years, AI can control its own life. That person is really safe. By that, it is natural for parents to love their children. But please don't pour out your heart and soul. Be wise to keep yourself a full portion, so that love doesn't accidentally become a burden on the shoulders of your children. I've seen a story that made me feel not from the day. Mr. Lamb is a gentleman, a lifetime of working algae. Every penny to take care of the children. He has 2 sons. Both have grown and succeeded. I think my son is now in his 7th year. He decided to sell the old house, give all the money to the kids, and moved in with. He thought his whole life he was worried about the whole world. Now the children worry about themselves. It's also common sense. But life happens, exactly as you think. Originally, the older son took him home. But home with small children, the space is quite tight. The daughter-in-law became increasingly uncomfortable. At every family meal, Mr. Lin could feel the cold. He heard the words as far away as, "I have somewhere else to visit, not here." Too many people, it's not comfortable at all. Mr. Lin quietly packed his luggage, moved to the second son's house. In the beginning, this boy was happy. But then the busy work cycle, plus what you don't want. There's an old man in the house. It makes the air heavier. One day, he overheard the daughter-in-law talking to her husband. "You stay like this forever. When will you move out?" It's like an invisible knife in your heart. It makes your heart ache. That day, he sat quietly alone. Look out the window. He suddenly realized that my whole life has been dedicated to my children. But when old age comes, there is no place that truly belongs to me. You don't want to be a burden to anyone else. The next morning, he quietly moved out. Rent a small, simple room, even if there is no page. But it's your own space, where you can live without looking at the AI face. Slowly, he reconnected with old friends. Find joy in living independently. I met you on a clear morning. I asked if you felt sorry for what happened. He just smiled in relief. Her eyes sparkled with peace. Children have their own lives. I also have my own life. Living on you only makes me suffer. It also makes them tired. At this age, we have a place to go. You have your own life to decide for yourself. That's enough. Love for your children is obvious. But live for their children to the point of losing themselves. Here's another story. Don't wait until there's nowhere to turn. I was shocked to realize, keep up the spirit of independence in old age. That's how to keep the peace. For my own self. 6. Don't stay in your children's homes too long. Preferably no more than 3 days. They have taut teeth. Guests who come to the house for 3 days are happy. 3 days will be a burden. Keep this teaching doesn't just apply to strangers. It's also very true of family members. At that time, there was an old man named Chen Gong. After your partner died, he decided to move in with his oldest son. At first, the daughter-in-law treated him very warmly. But as time went on, she became annoyed, not comfortable. One day she whispered to her husband, "Fostering parents is the way to be children. But stay like this, then this house. It is no longer a private space of my husband too." Mr. Chen Gong overheard his heartbreak. He quietly packed up and returned to his old hometown. Back to the village, you can only laugh and complain. It's been a long time. Getting used to it is easy to get depressed. Children, no matter how filial, it's hard to bear. My parents are always by my side. The ancients also likened, your family is like a kitchen fire. Just enough wood to keep it warm. But too much can put the fire out. Parents visiting their children is a good thing. It's the joy of both sides. But always remember that playing brings joy. Staying too long can cause trouble for your children. I have a good friend named Kwang. He has 2 sons. They both have their own families. The first day, when the older son picked him up in Chung, everyone is happy. The daughter-in-law is welcome. The little boy was wrapped up in his grandfather's arms. But after a few weeks, things started to change. Family meals are no longer available. Laughter as before. The daughter-in-law no longer seemed friendly. It's as fun as the beginning. He noticed the small changes. Once he went to bed early. I heard the daughter-in-law whisper to her husband, "I've been here forever. I don't know when I'm coming home." The words kept him wandering all night. A few days later, he took the initiative, go to the second son's house, play some days the boy who happily agreed. But then the old script came back. At first the children welcomed him warmly. But gradually, the atmosphere at the family meal became unbearable, lack of natural. Whenever he gently commented on raising his children, the daughter-in-law looked annoyed. One night he heard his son talking to his wife. "You've been here too long. My wife doesn't seem very comfortable. But really, we also need our own space and our own lives." The next morning he quietly packed his bags. "Take a taxi back to your old town." When the surprised son asked, "Why are you back so early?" he just smiled, meekly replied, "It's fun to visit, not to stay." But staying too long can cause trouble. Back to the familiar old house, he felt an extraordinary relief in his heart. No one greets you every morning. But there's no one who seems upset or complains because of your presence. The next day he went to the market. I met some old soulmates. Everyone agrees to say, "It is right to go back to the village, sir. Old people have their own house, go wherever they want. Do whatever you want. No one bothered me, no one bothered me." That's peace. I heard those words and only agreed. Ladies and gentlemen, your parents love you naturally. Children who are filial to their parents are also precious. But that doesn't mean it's necessary. We have to live under one roof forever. 7. Visiting your children is a joy. Know when to stop and leave at the right time. 8 hours of play is enough to keep the fun going. 3 months is easy to become a burden. I know where the right stop is. Family love so that it will always be firmly attached. 8. When the children have their own families, don't put too many expectations on them. The ancients have said that the greater the hope, the deeper the hope. When children start a new life, they had their own responsibilities. There are concerns and priorities that sometimes we can't always put our parents first. Song Dynasty legend. There's a story about a man named Li Jiang. You have only one son. From a young age, he devoted himself to raising, with a wish, they will later be carefully nurtured by the children. When his son got married, he moved in with him. I hope that the daughter-in-law will treat herself as her biological father. But then he began to feel the sun. Little talk, share with me more than before, and the daughter-in-law doesn't always seem happy. When you were there one time, he overheard his son talking to his wife. Everything he wants requires us to do his will. How can we live a comfortable life? As you wish. At that time, Li Jiang had just realized one thing. I've placed too many expectations on you. It makes you live under pressure. And we ourselves become a nuisance in their eyes. From that moment on, he decided to move out on his own. Keep a sufficient distance, so that family relationships don't break down anymore. The ancients also taught, the water is too clean. There's no fish to inhabit. People place too much expectation. It's hard to find joy in life. The love of parents for their children is natural. But do not rush to burden your desires into their own lives. I've seen the story of a friend. In his entire life, he had only one son. I love you so much. Worried every little bit. From your education until you get married. Day a son, should wife, should husband. Min was overjoyed. I thought I finally had a good wife. I dream of being good. 3-generation families stay warm under one roof. But then life wasn't what he'd hoped for. He wanted his son to visit him every week. But your work is always busy. I hope my daughter-in-law will cook the right food. Your taste. But she has a different way of cooking. He expected his daughter-in-law, I will take care of myself like a daughter. But she's just doing her duty as a bride. They can't be close. As close as you can get. So the sadness in his heart, he wondered. Because my daughter-in-law doesn't see me as my real father. My son doesn't care about me like he used to. Why, they don't do what we want them to do. One time, he could not help but blame the son. You've raised me all my life. Now I have my own family. Maybe you're no longer important to me. The boy was silent for a moment, then gently answered, I have my own life. I have my own life too. I hope you are forever a child. In my arms. But Dad, I've really grown up. He sat quietly for a long time that day. Ponder so much about what the boy said. He suddenly realized, it's about placing too many expectations on your children accidentally made my heart heavier. More sadness. From that moment, he decided to change his way of life. You no longer force your son. I have to visit every week. I don't complain about my daughter-in-law's behavior. No longer trying to dominate children's own lives as well. Instead, you find joy in your own life. Meet old friends. Take care of the small garden, read books, and sometimes reward yourself for travel. Ladies and gentlemen, children who have families have their own lives. Please don't make them live according to their will. If you can lower your expectations, we'll find more moments. Love your children with understanding. Don't make yourself an invisible burden. Let go for a moment. Family feelings will be more natural and gentle. My own life also becomes serene, much more secure. 9. Please do not let negative thoughts robbing the peaceful sleep of old age. Ancient people have a saying, heavy weight in a day. I will suffer in that day. A heavy burden for a whole year. You will lose sleep for a whole year. If you keep worrying about too much, it doesn't help solve the problem. It's also damaging to health. Eroding the spirit. Legend of the Road. There's a story about an old man named Chupuk. He has 3 sons who are all successful. But he always lived in a low state. Worry does not subside. During the day he is restless. I don't know if there's a conflict. In the evening he was restless. Afraid of my granddaughter growing up, not as successful as expected. Those thoughts stuck with him. Obsessed with sleep. It made him thinner and thinner. One day a monk passed by. When I saw that, I stopped to advise him. The past is gone. The future has not yet come. People can live peacefully, someone who appreciates, and live fully in the present moment. Take the advice of the monk. I suddenly woke up and realized many things. From there, he decided to let go of his frivolous worries, live a serene and strange life. Since that day, his sleep also became more peaceful and deep. The old man also woke up. If the mind is quiet, the night will be peaceful. People who are not busy, sleep will come naturally. I used to be a loose thinker. Small things are also worried. The big thing is even more worrying. By the time the hair was gray, the worry in me is growing. My husband has 3 children. Everyone has their own family life. I always want them to be happy. But there's never peace in my heart. My son works abroad. I worry it's hard. My daughter just gave birth to a granddaughter. I'm worried that you were raised. Kind or not. Every day is like every day. Put your back to bed. Is that my mind is spinning like a spinning machine, with so many thoughts. If my child fails to do business 7 years ago, if my grandchild is not taken care of properly, why? If one day I close my eyes, I have not been able to tell my children everything, then why? These questions have haunted me all night long. I can't sleep. People who are always tired. Your mind is always as tense as a string. Then one day, I walked around the village. I met a guy 10 years older than me. But I always see him smiling. I asked him, "Are you worried about your children?" He just smiled gently. After all these years in my life, I realized something. Worrying doesn't help your child suffer less, just making yourself more tired. So I'm not worried anymore. I'm simply in love. I'm happy to help whenever they need it. When they don't need, I let them live their lives freely. His words were like cold water pouring straight into his heart. Can I? Make me wake up. I suddenly realized that worried it's just an inherent habit. People who haven't learned to let go. Since that day, I've learned to let go of my worries. I don't call my daughter every night to ask Han all sorts of things. No more thinking too much about things that are beyond our ability to change. I've learned to let things happen naturally, as it is. And it's strange, since letting go of the burden of worry, my sleep also comes softly. The night is not long. The soul is no longer burdened, ladies and gentlemen. We've all reached the age of twilight. The most important thing at this age is to live in peace. Peace what cannot be changed. Please don't keep it in your heart forever. If you want your children to be happy, please be a shining example for them. Buy the security itself. It's my own. Happy mind, happy life. If the mind is still burdened, it will suffer forever. Please don't worry too much about your children. There is a saying that parents give birth to children. Even if the parents are worried, no matter how much you care, you can't change it, or completely decide the fate of their children. Each born has its own destiny, a path they have to walk on their own. Bones of the Ming Dynasty. There's a famous story about a man called a fellow worker. He has 3 children, all of whom have their own lives. But you're never at peace. He was worried about the older son not able to carry a career. Worry about the second son getting married. I don't know if I'm happy or not. She worries that the girl has a loving husband. Care or wisdom. Every day is like every day you send a letter, asked Han meticulously, even intervening in small decisions in the lives of children. Then one day the eldest son wrote to him, "Dear father, I keep worrying like this. Will it really help you live better?" or just make myself more tired and hurt my mind. It was then that his colleague realized with shock my excessive worries. It doesn't make your children any stronger. On the contrary, it only makes you more anxious. The ancients taught that when the tree leaves, it will fall back to its roots. But spices still have to stretch themselves to catch the sun, take the wind to grow. Parents who love their children are precious. But please don't take your worries as an invisible bond that binds their free lives. I have a good friend named Vin. All his life he lived for his children. Always put thinking about them first, even when the children are grown up. He still can't stop his unrelenting worries. His son opened a business. He would call Han every day. How's the business today? Did you encounter any difficulties or obstacles? Do you need any help? Your daughter is getting married. You're constantly worried. Does your husband treat you well? Is it easy for your husband to make it easy for you? At first, the children patiently answered. But slowly they start to get annoyed. The son said, I keep asking. I feel a lot of pressure. And the girl sighed, Father. You're always worried. How can you live a comfortable life? According to my will. That night he stayed awake at night thinking. He suddenly realized that from time to time it was not good, my boundless love. It becomes a burden on the shoulders of the children. He remembered the old days when he was young. My parents used to worry about me. But in the end, he stood on his own. Walk on your own 2 feet. And your children will be like that now. From that day on, he decided to change his behavior. You still care. They no longer control the lives of their children. When the son called about the business story, he just smiled gently and said, I did my best, it's good. I won't ask much more. When the girl called back, he only asked gentle questions. No more searching or questioning like before. He kept telling me that I've learned a valuable lesson. That worry, excessive behavior does not help children live better. Just make yourself older. I'm tired. Everyone has their own destiny. I can't live their lives for them. Ladies and gentlemen, the children have their own lives. They have their own destiny. Let them be free to grow up, to walk on my own path, to experience their own stumbling blocks to learn. We are here to love and support in times of need, not to control or dominate. Learn to let go a little. My soul will be much lighter. And the children also feel more comfortable. Dear ladies and gentlemen, the life of each of us is short. Time goes by so fast, it's like a dove through a window. As we enter the threshold of old age, the most important and precious thing, it's not about accumulating a lot of money. It's not perfect fame. It's peace in the depths of the soul. We've spent a lifetime worrying. Sacrifice for your children, for the family, but at some point, please learn to let go. Learn to spend time and energy, to live for yourself. Don't put too many expectations on your child's shoulders. Please don't worry. Restlessness robs the peaceful sleep of old age. And please don't let your love be boundless. It becomes a burden on the shoulders of the children. The children have their own lives. And we also have our own lives. Live softly, live freely. Live serenely. That's the priceless gift. But old age really deserves it. And enjoy it to the fullest. If you find these sharing helpful, please press the like button and subscribe to the channel, so that together we can spread the stories and profound lessons about life. Please leave a comment below. Share your thoughts. My feelings about old age. Every story, every message you send is a valuable lesson. It's an inspiration for not just our generation, but also for future generations. May you always have a safe life, happy no longer to worry or regret anything. Because old age is a precious time, so that we can fully enjoy peace and happiness.